The following program is sponsored by The Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer at 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Georgetown Media in Ely, Nevada. Emergency Special Meeting of the White Pine County Commission, March 18th, 2020.
I think we can get by with that.
Yes,
And
that will be the directive from the public health officer.
What about you
It
guys?
hasn't been codified yet, we haven't drafted
we're doing
it
the
yet.
best we can, so we're gonna spread out as far as we can get. I mean, we can go to another round.
Yeah, so,
Okay. There.
yes, no, I was gonna say, you can, is that the?
Oh, yeah.
Ryan, is Mike coming?
Yes.
I guess.
Are you logged into this as well? The Zoom meeting? No, I'm just kidding, I'm opening up mine. Okay. Now, is this one that we're gonna? No, we don't need it for
Good morning and welcome to the special county commission meeting for this Wednesday, March 18th, 2020. Would you all please stand and join us in the pledge? And Shane, why don't you lead us today?
Certainly, will you follow me in the pledge? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As for regular county commission meetings, we're going to take this first moment for meditation, prayer, whatever you'd like to take. So the first moment of the meeting is reserved for that. First item on every meeting today as well is public comment. Is there any public comment on this morning's meeting? Anyone got anything they'd like to speak to? Please come forward, state your name.
Good morning, Burton Hilton, White Pine County Assessor. I just had a couple of things that I want to say on this. To me, a functioning government is key to a functioning society. So I think we need to do what we can to make sure we are maintaining our services to the community, to the public, to ensure that we keep doing our part and things as calm as possible during this situation. Another thing is, I think we need to be very cognitive about giving paid time off to people when people are losing their jobs today throughout the state, throughout the country, and some will be able to get some unemployment. Small business owners won't be able to get any unemployment. They still are going to have to pay their bills. And I think we just need to be careful with the perception of giving government employees time off when the people who pay our salaries are not. And then the biggest thing to me that goes with just about everything in life is communication, communication, communication. We got the email about the senior center and the pool yesterday, which I think were great decisions, but it's like we're seeing it on Facebook before we're sending anything out from the county. And I think just sending it out as much as possible so it doesn't play the telephone game with situations. That's all that I have.
Dr. Vian, are you here? Okay, is there any other public comment? George?
You need a sound system.
Any other public comment? Last call for public comment. If you want to say something, come forward. If not, we're going to move into the meeting. And on page 2, item 1, it's a discussion for possible action. Approval to declare a county emergency through resolution 20-17 and to adopt those recommendations contained therein due to the COVID-19 virus, state and local conditions in an attempt to follow and implement the President of the United States and the Nevada Governor's recommendation and mandates, and to facilitate in obtaining federal, state, and local funding and supplies. Brett North and Mike Weevil on this right here.
Thank you. So the first thing I want to recognize, or at least state for everyone in attendance and the community, this is the draft resolution. It's still warm. We were just still making changes to it to kind of fit the governor's declaration or his initiatives that he issued last night. So this is still just a draft. This board can make changes to it, suggest it, adopt it, reject it, whatever it wants to do. But I specifically don't want this document going out as written if it's not what this board approves. I received some direction from our emergency manager, Brett North. In his communications with state emergency management, they recommended the declaration of emergency based on the ability to not only free up our local funds to address matters that may come up within 24 hours, that we may not be able to wait 2 weeks to get another commission meeting. Because it's not ideal to keep holding these emergency meetings. It's not fair to the public. If we can take care of something now and have a plan in place, it's better. Also, it allows, it frees up some avenues for us to obtain funding and supplies from Carson City by having a declaration. And it allows, it further strengthens Dr. Yoon's position as he is issuing his orders. And while we don't have the, as of my understanding as of this morning, we don't have the active cases in our community, we want to keep it that way as long as we can. And so there are going to be some other steps that we've taken through Dr. Yoon's orders that we'll discuss today. But this, if you look through the document, there's nothing in here that you're really ordering other than explain that it is an emergency situation. We're going to be handling some things differently. That there may need to be some supplies that have to be ordered across the county, either through their emergency management department or through other department heads might need some supplies to conduct business differently. And that usual process of finding it in the budget to order a laptop, for example, so that someone can work from home. And then moving things around. I'm looking at item number 10 specifically. By allocating money from contingency specifically and only for this purpose, we can fast track some of those purchases, and then we can do an accounting towards the end of the fiscal year and make adjustments if necessary. But it's to streamline the process and to also give direction to our advisory boards and some of our county offices about closing. So if you look through it, now's the time to make suggestions, ask questions, or take something out that the board doesn't agree with, and we'd be happy to answer questions. The other thing, we didn't just want to go ahead and issue this right away. You know, the credibility of this governing board to the community is important. We don't want to just cry wolf and say that the sky's falling and jump right into emergency. I mean, we were slow rolling this last 2 weeks. Other communities have already done this last week, but we wanted to make sure we see what we had, see what our issues were and whether this was actually necessary or not. And it's the opinion of your emergency manager and your district attorney that's now it's time to go ahead and make this declaration. It's still not as expansive as some other declarations across the state. We still want to just be as conservative as we can moving forward to make sure that we're addressing citizens' needs.
Okay, are you all having a chance to take a look at this this declaration of emergency that the district attorney is putting out there? I see some of them, and a couple of them I don't know how we're going to do this. Number 13, I guess, is the one that jolts out to me, which is close the White Pine County Library.
That's correct.
Because of what we need the library for, as far as, I think if we could somehow limit access, so many people in there at certain times, because there are so many that use our computers and our ability to get on the internet or to stay as informed as they can. There's many people here, elderly people probably especially, that don't have access to a computer. But to close the library completely down, I think that maybe if we could explore another avenue, which would be to allow certain access. Lori's got her hand up, so I'm gonna have Lori, she's the library director. That's just my 2 cents.
I can tell you, we're kind of like the information center. Our phones have just been constant, and it's a little bit of everything. We have seen less foot traffic. We have not locked the doors. We can do that. Some libraries have done that. They're doing things by appointment. The last 2 days, business as far as copying and faxing has been just like it normally is, because we're the only place they can get that done. But We definitely, I kind of echo what Burton said earlier, the staff is dedicated to this community, and we feel comfortable being here, and would prefer to continue operating. Like I say, we can do it by appointments if you guys want, to eliminate that foot traffic a little more, but we've actually seen it slow way down. But the phones with people calling, calling to know where the drop-offs are for the school district lunches, you know, it's a little bit of everything, because this is the number they know to call. And, so like I say, we would prefer to still be available to the community and the residents in some form.
Lori?
Lord, with that said, do you have the supplies to go in behind people being in and your staff to be able to clean and sanitize?
What we've been doing is to accommodate the 6 feet in between, we have shut down every other public computer to accommodate that. Every time somebody gets off, the computer is sterilized, the chair is sterilized before the next person gets on. And we've been letting down, we've actually done that with the computers all along, before this even happened. Because one, to protect the staff and the public, because everybody comes in with their colds and all this stuff. So that's a practice we have always done. We have just added a few more steps, you know, like doorknobs and bathroom doors and stuff like that.
I think at this point it's appropriate to at least have 1 or 2 people in the building to help answer the phones, the department head and community.
This morning there was 2 of us on the phones and it'd still be ringing.
But I do think as a whole, it probably should
Well, I think we
have
have
its
to
doors
help,
closed.
not set that
Or
sense of
special
panic.
appointments. Yeah. No, but the whole thing is about the lack of contact, so that you are, you know.
Well, a lot of our seniors, they don't have computers, they don't have internet,
And
they
that's
don't
what I'm
even know how to
saying.
use them. They will call us to look things up for them, phone numbers, whatever.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is that even if it's X amount of appointments, you know, like what
Yeah, they
Richard was
call
saying.
them.
Yeah, that I need this, this, and this, and that you're gonna, you know, have to play that part by ear, but at the same time, safety and distance and exposure, due to what the governor said in his mandates, we have to really severely limit that as a protection.
Bert, you have your hand up?
Just a quick thing, I mean, part of the unemployment for laid off people is the governor's orders, you have to do it online. Well, if people don't have any online access, how are they gonna file for unemployment without these public terminals? So it's just a thought.
I think we want to try to keep this to the commission and have the commission answer some of these things, and then maybe the emergency manager and the district attorney help us along. The input from Lori, because the item that was discussed was her library, but we're gonna try to keep this as focused as we can and stay on agenda. So I'm gonna ask the other, Lori spoke, and I'm gonna ask any other commissioner what theirs is, and then maybe we'll get some direction from the DA as to comment or whatever we wanna do, so. Lori has spoken, I have spoken. If any of the rest of you have something they'd like to add, we're speaking to what I brought up, which was item 13, the library. I looked at the rest of it, all looks okay to me, but maybe one of you guys or, you know,
I mean, we're gonna have to meet in this room for our commission meeting, so to close the whole building and kind of pretend like we're higher gods, I don't think is completely appropriate either. I would, you know, I guess just lean to our DA to see, you know, what, you know, I don't wanna end up in Ely State Prison for something, so.
Look, this provision, I think we adopted from other declarations of emergencies across the state. This is not, like I woke up and said, let's close the library, because there are really important things that business is conducted here for our community. When you have something open that attracts seniors to get something done, I mean, it sounds terrible, but they're our most at-risk population, and everyone across the board, medical, doctors, directives, governor, Dr. Bune, I mean, this population needs to stay at home. It's difficult, I understand, we may have to figure out different ways to deliver those services. This board wants to strike that provision and just maybe alter how business is conducted here. I'm just saying, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of overreaction right now in closing things down. And we have our economy, we have our citizens, we have government we have to conduct. And people say, but there's no active cases here. By the time there's an active case here in our community, it's gonna be too late. The way to address this is to take these really obnoxious steps now to prevent the spread of it over the next few days to see, 30 days is a long time too. That's what the governor's declaration is talking about. I don't even know how this is gonna look, but we also have to maintain calm and make sure our essential services are offered. So if there's an essential service that the library is providing, then I encourage the board to figure out how to allow the library staff to provide those essential services while also somehow discouraging people from coming to the public building. That's kind of where we're at right now. We're kind of walking the line right now. You can go one way like other counties have and just close it. We can adjust it, or we can leave it the way it is right now and let Lori look, she's doing a good job sanitizing and trying to keep space. She's already taken those great steps, but, the range is yours. Dr. Bean is gonna issue an order today, and it's not going to be everything the governor said in his statement last night. It's gonna be much broader to allow our, he's gonna do incremental steps over the next few weeks if it's necessary on restricting some of these practices. So I'm just saying, I'm not directing the commission to close the library. It was kind of what's been the practice across the state, and I wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to discuss it.
Elizabeth, you got your hand.
Well, I just, I don't know how, I haven't talked to Lori about this, I haven't talked to Bill about this, but we've got $30,000 in our budget to recarpet the library. Would this be the time to close the library and do that? You're employing people within the county to get the service done. We're getting this done in a manner when we are thinking we need to decrease flow to the library anyway. I don't know if it's feasible, but it was just a thought that had struck me. I'm sorry I didn't see this in advance, but that was just a thought that had occurred to me.
That's very interesting.
I also want to state, right now, as we're discussing this, having this meeting today, we are not saying that only essential government services are the only services we're going to render. We're not to that point yet. You have to ask yourself, is allowing access to the internet an essential service? It seems like it's pretty important.
In our community, specific to our community.
Is researching titles in the recorder's office or paying a tax bill, is that essential during the next 30 days? Maybe not. We're not there yet though.
Yeah.
So just something to keep in mind, we're not saying we're closing down all non-essential government services, but it is my recommendation that through today's meeting, we take steps to reduce the staffing across the county for our employees by at least 60% right now, somehow, through different tools and measures.
Travis?
Lori, would it be feasible, like the grocery stores, to have a few hours set aside for if the seniors have to come?
Sure, we can do that. But I think we gotta keep in mind our families, our low-income families, like was referred to with unemployment, with what's going on too.
Well, just, have it open, but then have only a few hours that are specifically for seniors, just to mitigate that risk. It's just an idea, I don't know.
Scott had a comment.
If we do anything like
No,
that,
I'm
we're
just
gonna really
commenting, you're
wanna
right,
communicate.
because Ridley's has already taken that action, so.
The other question I have, as far as, I agree that we need internet access, but I still think, you look at as a lending library, the materials being taken out and brought back and being handled, we don't know what the situation they're being handled in, so that's.
I think they already curtailed that. I don't think we're lending right now.
We are still doing some lending, and once again, everything's being wiped down, sterilized when it comes back in the door.
It's just hard to do every page. That's my concern. I think that one.
Should go.
Now, we know it only exists for up to 3 days, but circulation, if it's really, if the highest service we're rendering in the library is internet access for individuals who are relying on that access, then the order should be working with, we could just take it out right now and Lori and her liaison can work on a new delivery system for that essential service, either be restricted hours, restricted people, how to, when or where. We might be able to open up these side rooms over here, and you have a containment area where they can come and use it. I don't even know if that's possible if we have internet in there. We definitely have wireless. and then we can do the carpets and everything else in here. I mean, there's lots of different delivery methods, so we can definitely scratch this from the emergency declaration and have Lori and her liaison maybe come up with a different operation delivery, or we can just close it like some other counties across the state have.
Chairman, Dr. Bian is typing a message I'd like to read to the
Okay.
commission.
I was hoping you had some comment on
It
it.
says shutting down is the most convenient way to mitigate the situation, but has the potential to backfire. I will be presenting general principles of mitigation by issuing measured and incremental responses next week.
I'd say if you scratch it, and I'll work with Lori to get something in place.
How about it mirrors number 15 for the aquatic center?
What's that again?
Perfect.
Where it says, number 15 says the aquatic center be closed to all use not deemed necessary by its director, and then you're just investing that into Lori right now, and she can make those decisions.
Perfect, let's do that. Bingo.
Then if need be, we can always revisit it.
Is there anything else on this emergency declaration that you read that you might want to address? We've talked about the first item, which was the library. They brought up the fact that we go by the same frame that the aquatic center is using. I think one of the main things with this whole deal is trying to slow panic, trying to let the public and the county's open for business. I agree, as we go forward with today's meeting, with some of the reduction in some of the things, the closing of the offices. I've read the comments by each of the elected officials and department heads. But when you start shutting everything down, we've already seen the governor do that, and that's gonna, I don't know what that's gonna look like, but it ain't gonna be pretty. But we want the public and we want ourselves to know that we're aware of what's going on, but we also are aware of our citizens and that what their needs are, and there are some things that aren't essential that they don't need. I think this library thing, I think like you suggested, the recorder's office, these other offices, the walk-in offices, it's important that we have people in there. But also the edict is to try to reduce the amount of people nationwide. I listened to Governor Cuomo in New York today, which is exactly what they're doing. They're reducing it to a point where the co-workers aren't in contact with each other every day. Just doing the best they can to stay on task with the emergency, but also have it available so that the public knows that, look, the world isn't coming to an end tomorrow. This is gonna end soon, I hope. We all hope. But by totally, this library thing really has me, that's why I brought it up. It's one of our main things, not just for elderly, but for everybody. But if we have someone at the door, and Travis can work with his department, and we can set up something where we can screen them as they come in, stop, whatever, I think that'd be good. But let's, I don't see anything else on here that strikes my
Let's
eye.
talk, if we
The
can briefly,
purpose-
go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sorry, I think that the purpose of the declaration of emergency is to allow us, as you all know, we do not have a confirmed case here. We don't have anybody yet. But what this does is this frees up the ability so that we can adapt as a community, that the government part, our local government, as a need to have a more relaxed, as far as the rules and regulations that apply, whether it's finance, whether it's having the ability to go ahead and get emergency equipment or funds, and allow the departments to do what they need to do. So this is, I think that financial and the ability to adapt to a moving target, because it does change, that's what the declaration of emergency allows us to do. And you can probably refine that, Mike.
No, that's exactly what we're doing.
Let's see. Elizabeth.
Well, I just would like to address just a few things, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I apologize, I did not see this until I walked in just now. But there are a few things I just wanna bring to your attention for your consideration. It might be good to have this after we have the discussion later on the agenda again. related to Tim Bunch and his items as they relate to sick leave and the use of leave and relaxing leave policies. Because if we look at the number 6, that county department heads may approve paid administrative leave for employees who miss normally scheduled work time for reasons relating directly to COVID-19. I don't want to discourage people from taking leave. But perhaps after we have the discussion with Tim on leave contributions from employee to employee for specific need in dealing with COVID-19. You got and then there was also the flexible interpretation on the sick leave and annual leave time pursuant to Department of Labor guidelines. So maybe we might want to amend that wording based on that discussion before we move forward with that.
So maybe we should go ahead and come back to item 1 and go through the rest of the,
And see what the
See what
suggestions are out there
Yeah, good
before
idea.
this is
I think that's,
finalized.
I like that.
Bill, you had your hand up, you have.
She's got it.
Okay, she got it. Okay, so what, your recommendation is to go through the rest of this and
And
leave
come
one
back and
open?
see what those ideas are from your
Okay.
department heads, your elected
Absolutely.
officials, to deal with this.
And before we move on, we'll hold item 1, we won't close it. Does anybody got anything else they want to add before we do this? So let's go through the rest of it. Item 2 on page 2 is discussion for possible action, the approval to offer up to 10 additional days of paid admin leave to employees, to be used only by non-essential employees during the next 30 days, to allow non-symptomatic and non-essential employees to self-quarantine consistent with Governor Sisolak's directive to state employees, and to further implement the President's direction to self-quarantine lockdown for at least 15 days, to include discussion on payroll costs and the measure and funding source, i.e. contingency. Brett and Mike as well.
Again, listen, the president and the governor, on 2 very opposite political spectrums, are both issuing, without actually putting it in an executive order, that people stay home. That is almost impossible to do if you're a new employee or have very little sick leave, and we can't force people to take their sick leave and stay home. That's their salary, unless they are actually sick, I think. So the state has sent their non-essential employees home for the most part, and is paying them. This is a kind of extreme measure, but it's another tool in the tool bag to reduce office staff to just what's necessary to get through the next 30 days. With some of the other tools we're going to discuss later on this agenda. It was originally scratched out as to be discussion only, so you can get some ideas of how much that would cost, what that looks like. But I asked that we change to an action item after hearing Governor Sisolak's address last night. Either we're going to, as a community, lead by example and take this seriously, where we really want people to stay home, or we're going to just say, well, thank you for your guidance, Governor and President, and we'll do what we want to do. And so, or something in the middle. But I just wanted to put this on the table for discussion. I'm not saying that we need to approve this now, or up to 10 days now, or, we can do it incrementally. We can just have a discussion on what this is going to cost. There's a lot of input from our department heads. This is all last minute. Some of their counsel is really important to consider. All of it's really important to consider. So I just wanted to at least open this up for the commission to consider. I do, again, my recommendation is to still reduce our office across the county by 60% over the next 30 days. Somehow, you see there's other tools here. So you can say, open up the leave policy, say, listen, if you got some sick time you want to use it, just go ahead and stay home and use your sick time. You got vacation you want to use it, great. Coordinate with your department head to make sure that their work is still, the necessary work is still done. Oh, you have some additional vacation time that can only be used in this 30-day window, because you don't have sick leave for whatever reason, you use it. Or whatever, and then you rotate with your staffing, and you always have your office open, even if the door is closed. You're still offering your essential services, but you're implementing a rotation whereby people are either able to work from home, or using a sick day, using a paid admin that's been approved specifically for the next 30 days, or using a regular vacation day, or they're at work. They're your only employee at work, doing work for you that day, getting something caught up, and then maybe taking something home the next day. all across the board, I just want to recommend open these tools up and then leave it to the discretion of your department head on how to implement, because they're the ones that know their offices. But with the recommendation that they should try to allow, not have their full work staff in their office that day, if possible. So that's what this is. It's just another tool for discussion and debate. I don't know if it's how meritorious it is or how expensive it is yet. I just asked Elizabeth last night to get that information.
I totally agree with you, trying to reduce it to 60%, but I really like what you just said about leaving it to the department heads